to Living Your Best Life. I'm Helena, and today we're talking about zones, your growing zones, gardening zones versus first and last frost date, why they're important, and what to look out for. So let's get into it. First off, we're going to cover the zones. The zones are, you can easily find your zone just by doing a quick little Google search. I have notes here just in case you're wondering. It might seem a little scripted. I don't normally do the notes, but I don't want to forget anything or lose my spots. So yeah, just doing a basic Google search, just wanting, just looking for, like, you type in your city. Like for me, it's Lethbridge, Alberta. So then all I do is I type in um, growing zone, or you could type in gardening zone for your city and your province. I'm in Canada, and so yeah, that's why I speak Canadian. um, so so I'm in 4B. That's my zone. Um, and so with this knowledge, I know I can figure out which trees, shrubs, and perennials I can grow in this zone. That is the plants that I want to come back year after year without me needing to replant them or re-sow seeds. Um, the zone will tell you your coldest temperature, and that will tell you which plants you will survive or thrive in as cold as those temperatures get. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Um, so yeah, just it'll help you sort of decide which perennials, trees, and shrubs that will survive the coldest temperatures in your climate. Um, so yeah, so let's say kiwi, for example. Kiwi, you can grow those on the island. I just recently found one variety of kiwi that I can grow here. It'll survive up to minus 35. So if your zone is so cold that um, that anything that cannot survive beyond minus 35, you cannot grow those kiwis. And so that's why you want to look at your zone and what zone you're in, and you really want to get to know what will grow in that zone. Um, you can manipulate or stretch your zone um, through mulching. So sometimes you can mulch, and if you do a heavy enough mulch, it will keep where your rhizome, or where your the base, the roots of your plants are, it'll keep it further underground. And so sometimes you can manipulate. I know some people, they can, here in my city, they can grow stuff that is tolerant up to up to zone 5A, which would be, no, sorry, 4A or 3B. The lower the number, the colder your zone is. And so I know people that can grow stuff for 5A um, in a 4B zone, but you can manipulate that. So you can, like, put bubble wrap around the trunk of a tree that's supposed to only be able to survive up to zone 5A temperatures. Or you can use cardboard. You can put like a high tunnel around it. You could put a low tunnel if it's a lower growing thing. You can put a low tunnel and cover it for the winter, cover it and the surrounding area for the winter, and that could potentially, now you're risking it, but it could potentially mean that within that it could stay the temperatures of a zone 4B. Does that, I hope that makes sense. So you can definitely do that. You can use cold frames, you can use greenhouses, low or high tunnels, depending on how big the plant is that you want to grow, and depending on what your plans are and what you're wanting to accomplish. With the frost dates, it's different. Now, a lot of people, they're asking me if what zone I'm in, and then they want to know, or they seem to know when I can plant things out, because based on zone alone, and that's not the case. Here's an example. So we've got Lethbridge, Elkford, and Golden. They all have zone 4B. However, the last frost date for this year in Lethbridge is between May 11th and May 21st. whereas Elkford, the last frost date is June 21st, so it's a full month after. However, our winters end up being similar in the temperatures. So we both, let's say if Lethbridge goes down to like minus, I think zone 4B is likely minus 35 to minus 40, no, not 40, minus 35, with a wind chill probably minus 40 or colder. But that's usually the coldest around there that it gets here. That's why we are in zone 4B. And Elkford is also in zone 4B, so the coldest part of their winter is also minus 35. However, their last frost dates are 1 month after us. So they have to wait 1 more month before they can put any of their annuals out. Like your tomatoes and your peppers and like the heat loving plants, they have to wait a full month longer than we do here, only because their last frost dates are a month later. So the length of their winters are longer, which I'm very thankful that ours are not as long, although I could just do without them entirely. Being a gardener, I just wish I could like garden year round, which I mean, with the greenhouse, right? With the greenhouse. So first and last frost dates, when you want to pay attention to this. So what I do, because I'm so anxious to get stuff in the garden, I start in January or February. I look up overall temperatures for the next 2 months. That will give me a bit of an idea as to when I can start putting stuff out, but I'll have to protect them overnight. So it'll give me an idea of when I can plant certain things. So like cold temperature vegetables versus hot temperature vegetables. The tomatoes and the peppers are definitely going to wait longer than some of the other vegetables that I'll be growing this year. So I look over at, so like when I looked at it, March, the second week in March is supposed to get pretty chilly for plants. Not nearly as cold as we've had it recently, but it's supposed to be a little bit chilly for plants. So it's, I think it was -8 was the coldest, up to, I mean, sometimes it's not always accurate, right? So it said -8 was supposed to be the coldest, but I'm expecting like -12, -15 still for the lows at night. However, after that week, I can start planting the cold weather crops. Anything that will bolt in the heat of the summer can be planted earlier on, as long as you cover them up or protect them somehow at night. And so I'll be kind of doing a low tunnel sort of effect. I've got some stakes that I'll be putting in, and then I'll put some plastic over it. And then that should be okay, because these crops are more cold tolerant. It can be -2 underneath the plastic and they'll survive. It can be, with some of them, it can be like -5 or even up to -10, and they will be fine. They might not grow a lot when it is that cold, but they'll be fine. They'll perk back up and they'll grow on when it warms up a little bit more. So I'm not too worried about 1 or 2 nights that are like super cold or anything, because if the plastic is over them, if they have that protection, you can use anything from a piece of plastic, you can do shade cloth, you can use, I know people that even use like a flat sheet, their fitted sheet in their bed is no longer good, so they take the flat sheet off of their bed and they save it for the garden, and that's what they use to cover if there's all of a sudden like a late frost that they weren't expecting. Then they'll just throw the sheet over the garden, put a few stakes so the sheet doesn't like weigh down your plants, and it's fine. Like, and their gardens grow really, really nicely onward. It's just enough insulation to keep that cold away enough. So yeah, definitely give that a shot. For me, in my research, I can extend my grow season for like at least another month to 6 weeks, doing this, so I'm definitely going to try it this year. I'm going to turn the camera on so you guys can follow along with me. If I lose the crop, I lose the crop, but you are 100% guaranteed to fail in gardening if you don't sow any seeds. However, if you do sow seeds, at least there's at least a small chance of getting a harvest and getting some food. So definitely worth a shot for me, in my mind anyway. Google is not always right, so just watch your temperatures and see, because weather changes so quickly. So if Google says, you know, like I've noticed recently also, like Google said that it was supposed to be like -12 the one day, and we ended up with like -28, and I just went, what? So make sure that you check daily. If you notice a sudden drop in temperature, then frost might be coming your way. So then, you know, I would run out and cover the crops. And also make sure that you uncover them in the morning. You don't want to cook your plants. So yeah, so some of the plants that are tolerated, that can tolerate a light frost are, there's beets. Some cabbages will tolerate a light frost. I would cover them anyway, personally. Celery, green onions, radishes, and carrots. I absolutely love carrots. When you plant them late in the season and you leave them in the ground until after the first frost, and then you pick them, like when it thaws after the first frost, and then you pull them out of the ground, they are so sweet. They are so much better than any other carrots. I'm telling you, you gotta try it. Some vegetables that are actually better tasting would be the carrots, beets, and I've been told turnips as well. I haven't tried turnips after the frost, but I'm definitely going to try. It just helps to, like, if they're in the ground after a frost, somehow, I'm no scientist, but something to do with water molecules and sugar, and I don't know, something turns it into like a sweeter tasting vegetable. If you're a scientist and if you know, please leave in the comments your answer to why that is. But yeah, so if you know of any vegetables that are good or better after a frost, please comment them below. Or if you know of any that that will survive a frost also, please comment below. I will be doing videos. I will be doing, in like the next 2 weeks, I'll be planting a few of these crops out, but I'll be doing them in containers because my garden's not ready yet. But I have to try it. I have to, I gotta see. I gotta see what's up with all of this. I just cannot wait until May. There's no way. I'm not waiting till May to go plant my garden. I'm going to plant now, and I will find a way to make it work. So yeah, please follow along with that, and have a fantastic day. Ciao.